roll the clock back a little bit, right? What was your biggest learning through this process, and things like you'd swear you'd never do again? So that someone else can benefit from that. I know you've said that before too, right? If we can learn from some of your mistakes, you're happy to, help everyone, right?
Yes, no, absolutely. I say that, take on a really big challenge. Take on the biggest challenge you can find. Yes, you need resources. Yes, you need backing. Yes, you need funding. But take on that big challenge. I do realize that, yeah, the dialogue has been, take off pieces that you can manage and get, think small, win big. I get that and I understand that, but I say go for it. I say take the risk. And because that's so much, the benefits are so much sweeter and so much greater for the company, that that's part of what we're doing is we are just going for it. We have, this brand is an incredible brand, and to ensure, I use the word ensure, that the ecosystem is trusted and well managed and controlled is just something that is non-negotiable. So we're just, in all of our work streams and in all of our planning and our teams and program, we're just going for it. We're really going for the gusto and want to really make sure that we've got this trusted ecosystem, because we're critical for the financial infrastructure.
Yeah. I like the way you said that. I think there's a big misconception out there in the agile methodology speak of minimum viable product, as if the goal is small, right? No, just the steps are small, but the goal can be big. Because if you have a small goal, sometimes you'll end up optimizing something, but de-optimizing the whole, right? You're just sub-optimizing some minimum viable product. So I like the idea of big audacious goal, just with small steps to get there. So that's good advice. So talk about misconceptions about data governance. It's such a pregnant word. There's so many different definitions of it, from how do you curate data, validate it, and federate it, to the whole metadata management, business philosophy, data catalog. I mean, what are some misconceptions out there that you think?
Misconceptions. I would say the first misconception is that it is a back office function that IT, or information technology takes care of and handles when they can. Data governance is truly a business aligned function. IT plays a critical role in that they are partners and they support the solutioning based on the requirements and instructions. But managing that asset as sort of a business function, an enterprise function, however you're set up, is so important. So I think that's one misconception. The other misconception I would say is that, yes, it's about data and yes, it's about governance, but it's about behaviors. So it's about changing behaviors and the way that people think about data, the way that people manage and control data, and what data can tell you about your own company and about your products and your services. It is everything is about the data. So when I think about data governance, those couple things first, definitely come to mind.
Yeah. So I want to interweave a new question in here that maybe you didn't expect, but I think it's a good part B to this question. So we talked about the people right up front, and stakeholder management, sponsorship. You talked quite a bit about the process, right, of having an execution strategy. Let's get even a little more tactical, practical. To what extent in this process have you, leveraged automation? Can you talk anything about the tooling, things that kind of enable this great theory that you've been discussing so far?
Yeah, of course. So I think, we're in the process of automating and really taking the first initial set of processes that we created and using tools, building automation into processes. One example is that we have, think about metadata and you think about the way that companies run, especially in the data space. I think about change and I think about run. We currently have this phenomenal group data policy framework that's comprised of our certainly our policy and standards and procedures down the road. We from a change perspective, what we do is we review change opportunities against the policies and standards before it becomes expensive to change it, right? Once it's implemented. So we had, set up this initial preliminary process to do that. And what we've done is actually, created and actually developed an in-house tool to that is an automated forms where we have people come to our website. They essentially can fill out a form. It triggers, events, and we get it through email. And essentially now we don't have to use that infamous, Excel spreadsheet and all of that. But we have, tools now that we use to really automate not only our own process, but as a child process of the overall change management process. So, to me, it's okay when you're actually starting out to use, non-automated processes, because that to me is those are your requirements. Those are the initial, ways you want to capture how you do things, how you want to do things, and then use that for your tooling. Use that to build out your tools and your use cases, and that's what we've done.
Yeah. So I've echoed the very same thing, right? Show me how you do it manually, and then I have a great spec. Right. We very much interweave that into our culture. So I like the way you said that. So we're getting near the end of this, and your end is really kind of the beginning for other people, right? So here's the question, right? LSEG is a pretty advanced in digital transformation and very committed to having a strong data ecosystem, under your tutelage. I'm sure they appreciate. What would you say to folks in a similar role at organizations that are less mature? In other words, where should they start, right?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I think back to, over 3.5 years ago and just starting this program. I would say that it is paramount as a data leader in a company that you understand your company's businesses, your products, your services, and figure out what problems that you're actually trying to solve. And how those proposed solutions are supporting the corporate mission, so line of sight. Yep. But I would say that understanding what your company is, what it does, and we all have pretty complex legal entity structures and different products and services. So do your research, understand your company, even the org structure. Really important to do that and really figure out, why am I here? What problems am I trying to solve? And are they the right problems, and are they prioritized? That's where I would start, right? That's, do your assessment, your strategy, and all those sort of, classic steps. But taking the time to really, again, sort of understand your own company is something I think people forget about sometimes.
Yes. Yeah, I hate to boil all the eloquence that you just said down to cliche, but it reminds me of one, this idea of rules before tools. What are we doing and why are we doing it before we build a process around it and harden it in some code, right? So well said. Hey, thank you, Diane, for joining me today. And thank you, guests, for listening. And please visit cdomagazine.tech for additional interviews. Have a good day.
Thank you.